I've field tested the Nikon ZR for almost 3 weeks now to find out if this is a camera I'll be using to create my future videos. Try to do something very quick. Number 3, custom button to ISO. See on the histogram. I definitely missed some good photographs there. I wanted to get that camera from the tripod so that I could turn it around. Oh, they're coming again. Yes! Oh, my goodness, that was intense. I think I got it. The video I'm making now is basically a 3-day trip. It's a little bit hard because it's the first time I use that camera for vlogging. I have tried at home, you know, in the garden, but there's nothing like, you just cannot prepare for when things like this is happening. It's so quick, it's so fast, and buttons are so different than from any other Nikon camera I have tried. I think we'll get some rain soon. I'm just trying to capture this landscape here. Beautiful. So beautiful. The microphones in this Nikon ZR are really good. It's definitely the best I've tried of any internal microphones on any camera. The only issue was that because this is a pre-production and I got it way ahead of time, there was no accessories for it. So I expect that someone will make, either Nikon or someone third party will make something that goes into the flash shoe and cover these 2 microphones that are hidden behind here. I do get a little bit of wind in the microphones. Hello. That Nikon ZR has definitely got its first shower. It should be somehow weather sealed, so and you know, rain covers are awesome, but the camera I bring for making these behind the scene films, they have to be somehow water resistant, or at least be able to take a shower, because I can't have like a rain cover on that one, because I need to be able to do all the buttons from here, change the aperture, do some checking here with if the focus is there, change focus mode, and also I need to be able to reach on the back of the camera sometimes when I have to adjust things. So like, you know, I see there, and then I have here, I can go into my quick menu and do stuff there, and you know, say okay, screen brightness, I need to take that up or I need to take that down, you know, and everything is done from behind here. So yeah, rain cover for me is a no-go on my vlogging camera. It just needs to be able to take some rain, and this is not taking rain, this is just a little dripping. I thought this was a good time to sit down and have a little chat about the Nikon ZR. It's the first trip I'm using it on. This is day 2 and it has been working a lot. There are a few things so far, some pros and some cons, some positive and some negative things that I just want to share with you. I love the fact that there's no viewfinder on this camera. This is more like the Sony FX3 or the ZV-1 FX30, these cameras that are just box shaped, and I love it for what I do. I never use a viewfinder when I'm filming myself because this is the ZX III filming me now, and the only thing I use is a screen. When I sometimes turn around to show you in the films what I'm seeing, I basically do it like so and press, and then I keep my eye out because I look for wildlife, or I have it on a tripod on my side just when I'm photographing. I love the screen. It's huge, it's bright even in sunlight, it's high resolution, and it's color accurate. It's just amazing. I'm not using an external microphone, and I haven't been using one on this trip. I have done that always on my videos, and now I just want to see how good is it with the internal, even though like yesterday with a lot of wind. Doesn't matter if it's not perfect, I just want to see how good it is. Second reason is the placement of the mini jack here in the side, because the screen is so massive. Here is the mini jack, see, come on. Here's the input to the mini jack, and you know, if it's sitting there, you can see what happened, and I can't just flip it around to see. I have to do like this, this, and this, this. And it's definitely not a big deal in many situations, because like, I mean, you have time to do like so, but I often just do it with one hand, and it has to be quick when I do like this and I see the red deer, you know, and then I have to speak and I do like so, and then I do like so, and just that little thing can be annoying for me. So I would love if I could just rely on these internal microphones. Speaking about microphones, another thing I love about the camera is the fact that it has a 32-bit float, and it's not that I don't know how to set up audio levels, but it has some really, it's just nice for things I do, because I don't have the times when things are happening and the red deer are there, I don't have the time to adjust audio levels. And sometimes I might be recording some ambient sounds, sometimes I'm recording me speaking, and I need 2 different audio levels for that. What I can do with a 32-bit flow audio is that I can put it on a really high level, so that I will always catch all the ambient sound, and then when I speak it will like clip, but then in post I can bring these levels down and it sounds perfect. That is like, I've been hoping for that for so long, and now it's finally here without me having to put on some extra things to get the 32-bit float audio. The few things that I'm not so happy about, except from the microphone thing here, is the lack of buttons. I'm used to many more buttons, especially on the Z9, where I have like almost a piano in front of the camera. But as you see here, there are no custom buttons there, and the only buttons I can program is the 1, 2, 3 here. Then I can program the play button here, and I can program the record button there. In the beginning I was like, this is hopeless. But now I have actually found a way around it, and I have almost everything I want is on these buttons here, except from one thing, and that is this camera has something, I think it's called showcase, product mode or something, where if I put this camera to you now on the ZX III, you see it'll still focus on my face, and I have to like, I can't even do it. But with this one, it works really well. And the reason why I love that so much is sometimes when I've taken a photo, I show it to the camera, and it's nice that it's not focusing on my face but on the closest subject. And this one has this feature. Unfortunately, I cannot program that to any of the buttons. I wish I have to go into the menu or into my quick menu here. See, here I have this little thing there, and then I can choose them. What I would love, and I'm sure that can be done in firmware, and also I have to say this is a pre-release firmware, it's not the final, so maybe it comes. I would love to be able to assign one of these buttons, and preferably the record button, to that function, because then when I have the camera pointing to me and I want to show something to the camera, I can just press there quick, and then I can take the thing up, and then it will focus on that, and then I can press it again and it'll take my face. That would be amazing for me. The reason I'm not having a fire on this trip, even though I love having a fire, is because first, it has been extremely dry in the northwestern part of Denmark, and of course we had a little bit of rain now. See, this is a typical setup in my camp. I'm sitting and cooking my lunch, and then I have the camera there. The screen I can see. I need to be able to first of all see if it's catching my eyes, or I need to be able to quickly switch to manual focus there, and then zoom in on a subject, reach the little joystick on the back of the camera, and then try to manual focus, in this case on the food, and then press record, and then I can continue. So a lot of the operation I do with the camera is actually from this side of the camera and not so much from the back. And then maybe I want to show my steak and say, oh look how nice it is, because you know you have your fingers like this and dirty, and if you have to faff around with the touch screen, that screen there will not be so nice. But it's time to eat. Now this one can rest over here with all the flies. What kind of timing is this? I just sat down to have my coffee. Water is boiling, as you can see. And what happens then? It starts to rain. Just filming a little bit with the Nikon ZR, this beautiful sunset, and then the ZR, and whoa, I'm in love with the screen. And right now it doesn't matter that much, but I was just doing some B-roll of my binoculars hanging there, of that stick in the evening light, and being able to manual focus and check focus there. And then I have this little zoom wheel here, the little thing for the finger, where I can just quick zoom in for the manual focus, and then that's awesome. It's been so stressing because I wanted to get ready for the red deer out in the meadow, and they didn't come, but then came the cranes, and I haven't even had my coffee yet, and then filming. So far, so good. Another day is waiting tomorrow. My focus here, and there we go. and then I'm basically ready. I don't use the face tracking. I use the manual focus just to know exactly where is it, and especially when I have the sun like right now in my face. Sometimes when I do these little scenes, the focus will, you know, because of the backlight, like zzz, and then the whole thing is destroyed. And right now when I'm in the camp, I do have the time to review every single recording, but I basically never do it because of course I make these to share, but I also really enjoy being out, and if everything has to be about filming, then I don't enjoy the photography and the trip so much. So for me it's a balance between making something that, you know, people can watch without feeling it's so bad, and then still have the time to actually experience being out here in this beautiful scenery. So for me the perfect camera for doing that kind of stuff is a camera that I don't have to pay a whole lot of attention to, and that I can operate as quick as possible and put so little effort into settings and stuff as possible, and then it just works. Here we are waiting for birds. In front of me is a lake. Photographing and filming with the Nikon ZR, and then look there, it is within my reach, so I can, you know, do things here, turn it on here, press record. So far I'm happy, but that's because I photographed and filmed the heron out there, and I managed to turn on the camera so I could speak to the camera all without the heron disappearing. I'm too lucky. There's don't know what it's called in English, but the white heron. Yeah, give me a second. Since I started my YouTube channel, I have used some Panasonic cameras, I've used some Sony cameras for filming, I've used Canon cameras for filming, I've used action cameras for filming, and I just tried a lot of different things and models, because when a new camera come out, I feel, oh, this could be the one that is perfect for what I do because of this and that feature and this image quality, and you know the drill. But after all, for me it's always a balance between the quality, like you can say, there is the handling of the camera, the way you use it when you film yourself or set it up, and have to do things from, like when I film myself, I have to press these buttons from the front of the camera without watching here. I have to judge on the screen and, you know, do these things. So that's the handling. And then there's the output, the image quality, the final result I can make from a camera. If you start with something that's super easy to handle and just is there all the time and capture almost everything without you being stressed about handling, it's an action camera. It's perfect because you just take it up, press a button, and then you record. No focus, nothing. Just auto exposure most of the time, and it's cool. But then when you come to the output, you sit at home and see, oh, all the footage I took in the dark or in the low light is pretty much unusable. Audio quality is really bad. Close-up functionality is not so good, and these kind of things. Then at the other end of the scale, you have a camera, you rig it up with a cage, and you have XLR microphone input, you have really good glass, you have like all the bells and whistles that you could wish for, and the output is extraordinary nice, but the handling is not suitable for what I do. It's probably perfect if you are always behind the camera and you're making documentaries or short films or a lot of other weddings or whatever. But for what I do, hello little ant, yep, I have to find the balance between these two things. I need a camera that is nice to handle, easy to handle, but also produces like a really good outcome, like the quality and stuff. So, and that is what I'm always chasing. I'm ready to pack. It has been an amazing 3 days out here, great experiences. Can't wait to come home and see some of the footage. My first footage on the Nikon ZR that is actually being used in a YouTube video of mine. The video from this trip will be on my channel. So if you're interested in seeing what I have done with this camera without external microphone, go and see that video. But enough. Sorry for taking so much time just sitting here talking about cameras. I want to pack, I want to get home, I want to look at some footage, and then I'll see you when we get out on the next trip to get even more familiar with this camera. Now I'm trying to capture the sound of thunder. It is just rolling over from east coming towards west, and I really hope it gets a little stronger. I'm trying to shelter the built-in microphones here with a cloth that I just put very lightly on, so I can see on the audio meters when I speak now. But I have gained it up all the way up to 20. So that means I've gained the internal microphone fully. See, it's so sensitive. It's a little annoying, I cannot change the microphone while it's recording. So we have to stop recording and go into the menu. Let's take it down to 17. Here we go. The rain on my jacket kind of gets in the microphone, these tick 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 tick. So let's go in here. I hope we got that. Now I want to try another thing. Besides the camera's gain, this one has a really good gain function on the back of the microphone. It's a really strong signal now. 15 on the microphone, 17, 3 from max on the camera. Can't wait to the next thunder. This is one of these situations where I'm looking forward to trying the 32-bit flow internal, but also with a external microphone, because normally when the microphone is gained so high and the camera is gained so high that I can actually capture rain hitting the leaves, then when a thunder come or a loud bird, that will clip. So normally I'll have to do one recording of that and then hopefully get a recording of the other, and then put 2 layers of audio, each recorded with different gain settings. Hopefully what I can do now with that 32-bit float is to just put the camera up like I do now and let it capture this atmosphere, and then the moment where the thunder is coming I can just drag down hopefully the volume, and then I'll have the best of both the silent sounds and these thunder bangs. I've now set the microphone between the leaves of the oak tree because it gives a really nice sound. I hope to capture that. smoke. If that knot is clipping, nothing is clipping. Some nice testing to do. Now I just want to get back home and dry the equipment, and then I'm looking forward to hearing how all this sounds. The fire is almost ready for dinner and I'm looking so much forward to that. Still have a good light for filming, but yeah. Now I want to concentrate a little on the camp and the fire and stuff like that. And then when it gets a little darker, I'm looking forward to trying to do some low light photography. When I test the camera for low light performance, it's actually not, you can say low light, but it's underexposure. Say the sensor's ability to capture something that is like 2 or 3 stops underexposed and then brought up afterwards. Like, it's very different from camera to camera, from sensor to sensor, and how the sensor is decided to be used. The reason for that is, like, very often I get to my camp and come home late at night and I want to just film when I'm setting up the hammock, or when I'm making a fire, or when I'm preparing the food. And you know, if I'm just at let's say 12,800 ISO and I use a lens that is 1.4 or 1.8, there will be a time where I just cannot get more light into the camera. So that is also what I'm going to try on this trip, try to push the camera and see how does it actually look, what is the noise performance, and also like how good is the autofocus in really low light. Will it be able to, when I sit the camera there like I did on the last trip, set it up and I do some photography, and will it then be able to focus on me when it's out of reach, or do I have to like manual do it? You know, things like that. But I better stop talking and start working. I can see on the audio meter when of course when I speak, but when I'm quiet, I can see it catches the subtle sound. So, just want to capture some footage of the forest before it's getting too dark. I'm filming on ISO 800 now, f2.8, just to get as much detail down here in the shadows as possible. And then I can see there's a tiny bit of clipping up there in these highlights, but you can see it doesn't matter that much. So yeah, here we go. I have a +1 exposure here in manual, because I just know, typical for the log, but you know, when you just rather overexpose a little bit than underexpose, because if you have to lift up the shadows in post, they often become noisy. It's better to have it just a slightly high, and then you can always bring it down and get a more clean image. Light is getting low, just want to do something there. See, there's a lot of shadows over there, And then there's a highlight in the top, just interesting to do. This is almost impossible. You can see on the histogram, this is almost black, and if I just take see here, let's look when it starts to clip. Let's go up and have a look here. See, clipping there, 4.5, so there, 5.6. Should be good. Then we get these shadows here. Just now try to overexpose a little bit. Let the sky burn out a little bit, just so I can compare. Very soon I'll have to go up to the second native ISO on this one, 6400, and that is actually underexposed, so let me just change that to the second native ISO and we can continue with filming. That was a whole lot better, wasn't it? And now we are at 6400, second native ISO. It's quite clean, taking into account that that sensor is made so fast for avoiding that rolling shutter that everyone are talking about. Oh, it's the green woodpecker. Okay, so let's try on the low native ISO 800. The reason why I do these kind of things is not to compare the specs to all other cameras in the world. It is to get to know the strengths and weaknesses of this specific camera and see if there are some shortcomings, if the sensor is not the best in the low light, how can I then get the most out of it? Fire is almost out. I thought this was a good time to actually test the autofocus, where I just have all the time in the world to sit here and make the fire ready finally for the dinner. But see if it doesn't catch me now. I don't know if it does. I'm at, let me see, flip the screen around. I'm at 60 of a second, f1.6, 6400 ISO, and it says it's underexposed by 1.3, so this is a pretty realistic scenario for me, I would say. I just wanted to go down to 2 stop underexpose. Let me do that. I don't know if it got me before. Does it focus? Yeah, it actually looks like it does. Okay, that's fine for me then. Now, yeah, let's get this going. Here we go. Now the autofocus got some light to work with if it didn't get me before. Oh wait, there's just one more test I want to do before. So I'll just try to speak in a distance with my normal volume of voice, if you can say that. And this is the built-in microphones on the Nikon ZR. And this is now the Rode Video Mic Go 2. I've left the camera on the same gain setting, and there's no adjustment on that microphone. And yeah, this is how that sounds like. Now it's the Rode Video Mic NTG turned all the way down to 3. Camera is set to the same gain setting for the audio, and yeah. Now it's the Rode Video Mic NTG. Camera's volume is set to 5, and the microphone is boosted up to 15. So I think that was the testing for tonight. Now I want to make my food. How many times have I said that tonight? I want to make my food, and then yeah. Oh. I'm so tired now. See you tomorrow. Breakfast time. Look, this is what I came for. Oh, it's not raining so bad now, and I decided to, it's too hard for me to handle the camera underneath the rain cover, and you know, there was just a little bird sitting there, and I wanted to just very quick do this, but then, you know, the rain cover, and I couldn't reach here, and I wanted to change this to manual, and then, you know, but I decided This camera is weather sealed. The lens 24-70 is weather sealed, so I'm sure it'll be fine. At least at the end of the day, I reckon it's more important that actually I can enjoy using the camera. That camera really got wet now, and so did the lens, and so did I, but only from here down. But luckily the fire is still going, which is nice, so I can make some early dinner. So what I want to do now is basically just spend the rest of the evening and the morning just having a good time here, enjoy the camp, film a little bit, hopefully I'll get some good light tonight or tomorrow morning. But I'll now stop filming myself, filming nature, and just, you know, embrace this beautiful place and have fun with the camera. And then once I get home tomorrow and I've been looking through the footage on the camera, I've been listening to the sound, I'll take that, put it together with the last YouTube video I created and all the other small tests I've done with trying to capture the lightning, or not, what to say, the sound of thunder, and all the stuff that I haven't filmed that I have used this camera for. Sum it all together and sit down and have a chat with you about what I like about the camera, what I don't like, and finally try to draw a conclusion based on the 3 weeks now, and try to make up my mind and see, is this the camera I'll be using for creating these behind the scenes videos for YouTube. So yeah, time for me to relax, to get some dinner, get some coffee, and then I'll see you once I get back home. Oh, that was nice. There's a little clearing in the rain now. It has been pouring down, and I kind of hope it comes again. Because I have issues with water on the lens, obviously, because when it's pouring down. But I just want to capture some clips of rain going mental over this landscape over there. So yeah. So here we are back on my little farm, and just before I start my conclusion and take all the things that I've experienced during the last 3 weeks, I just want to tell you that the Nikon camera here, the ZR, survived that shower. That is more rain than I would usually bring this camera to, but the reason why I decided to go out in that weather and film without the rain cover was basically because I know from experience that regardless how much care I take of my equipment, I will get this camera out in some really bad weather and some rain and some snowstorms. And this winter I'm probably going to the Amazon, I'm probably going to the Arctic again at some point, and I would rather have a camera that fails on me when I have it here and I can replace or repair, then I will be in a situation where I am out there doing what I'm about to do, telling my stories, and then the camera fails. So I got in, dried the camera, I put it in a bag with a cap on, battery, cards out, everything open that could be opened, and then I basically put it in a sealed back with a big silica gel back and left it overnight. The next day I turned on the camera. I figured out that the little joystick here was not working. That was the only thing that didn't work. Everything else was working fine. But when I pressed the joystick, the only thing it would do was it wanted to go to the right. But I have a very good cure for that. Probably not something that is recommended. And yeah, don't blame me if something goes wrong. But what I usually do is I take the camera, take everything off, including the hood here, the cover, and then I put it into a very fine little cotton bag where there's absolutely no dust and stuff. Put it in there, wrap it a few times around. I put it in my oven, then put it to 50 degrees Celsius, and then I leave it there for 5 hours. When I took the camera out, put the lens on, everything is working fine, and now I can send this camera back to Nikon in perfect condition actually. Yeah, it is perfect conditions. So I was just looking. No, so that technique with the oven has saved me with my Z9, with this one, with the ZF, with the Z6 III. But again, don't blame me if you do this and then someone is coming and think, oh, 50 degrees Celsius, it's not enough for that pizza he's probably about to preheat. I'll just give him a hand, and then they crank the oven up and you come out to the smell of plastic. Don't write me then, because I'm just telling you what I do. And that's also what I'm about to do in this little, you can call it a review or you can call it just a chat. My conclusion of using this camera, it's not covering all kind of use scenarios. It's just the way I use the camera on my trips, on my adventures, on my expeditions, sometimes filming other people, sometimes, most of the time, filming nature and myself doing what I do. So you can say it's probably a review or a sharing of experiences from a vlogger. That's probably the best way to say it. Let's start with the things I don't like so much, and then take the solutions, and then finish off this video with some love. I think that's maybe the best way to do it. So, hardware and design. The first thing I'm not so happy about with the camera, and I already mentioned in the video, is the placement of the microphone jack out here and the headphones jack. Then there's a mount point in the bottom of the camera. You can see I have a tiny little plate here, but the hole for that one is so far back on the camera. And the other little locking thing is on the side. I think for a video camera where you often have some plate going out here, the locking thing should be not on the side but in the front. And I would prefer that little screw down there. It's not the screw, I can't remember the English name, but I prefer to sit further in front, because then when you have a little plate mounted, it has a lot to do with the balance. If you have the 2470 or like 2.8 or something heavy and you mount right there, you have so much weight out here, where if you push this just out here, you would have a better balance. Next thing is this little joystick here. It works fine for my trips now, and I have absolutely no complaint from what I've experienced so far. The only thing I'm worried about is if I bring this camera to the Arctic, if I bring this to places where I'm wearing gloves, it's very, what do you say in English, fiddly. I don't know the word, but it's sometimes a little hard to press it without going to one side. And again, I would have loved something broader, a little bigger, so that it's easier for you to get the feedback in your finger. Now let's go to the solutions for these issues. And for some of them, I might have a solution, other not. See, the microphone, there is Nikon's microphone that would eliminate the problem by having to use at least the microphone input here, and that'll actually be awesome. I have to try it, I have to test it to see if I destroy it. The reason why I'm using like the Rode microphone is basically because I have now destroyed 2 of these Sennheiser MKE series. I think it's the 400, and then I have the small one too, the 200. And the reason why I destroy them is because they are built like a lot of the on-camera microphone. They are very stiff here. There's no flexibility. And you know, sometimes I have to put the camera in a bag very quick, or I'm having it hanging and it bashes the trees, or it flips over because there's a storm in the mountains and it hit the ground. And this one, what has happened to this is like I've basically broken off the entire thing here. So this is some homemade I've tried to get together. So yeah, that is why I prefer to use the Rode microphone, basically because you have probably guessed it, basically because this one, when something hits it, you know, like this, it's just the shock mount that moves, and the profile of the microphone is so low here, so I rarely have something hidden. Yeah, so but I will definitely try the Nikon microphone once I get my own camera, and I'll buy that microphone, probably 2 of them if I like it, because then I'll just have a spare in my bag. So if I break one, like, it's not that I break a microphone a month, it's just annoying if it happens. So that could be the solution for that problem if that microphone sounds great. For the plate, my plan is basically just to mount a longer plate, and then I'll have the screw as it is here, and then out here I would take some of that adhesive, I think you call it, rubber, and put underneath to prevent it from sliding. I know it's not the perfect solution, but it is a solution that probably will work for me. So yeah, joystick, there's nothing to do about that, it's just as it is. But I think I can actually get around most of the hardware, or like the design things here, and make it work for me. And that is what it's all about. When I have a tool, I don't just sit down and complain about, oh, this is not how I would like it in the perfect world, and oh, this is not made specifically for Morten. You know, I cannot expect that. People have different opinions, and I have mine. And if a product is not how I want it, I'll try to make some modification to make it work as best as possible. After all, it's just a tool. So now to the software. And by software, I mean firmware, things that can actually be updated and changed either on this camera or on future cameras. The first one here is a little, we say, a little odd one, and hold on before you start complaining. When I'm in auto mode, like aperture priority mode, where I can choose my aperture and the camera will automatically choose the shutter speed, I'm not able to use manual ISO. And why is that a thing? You might already now think, but hey, you know, this is a, like, say, cinema. Don't expect it to act like an action cam, because that is actually how most action cams works if you don't shoot them in manual. It has a fixed aperture and it adjusts the shutter speed, and then you can lock the ISO. I need to use it sometimes as an action camera, and that can be if I'm walking to a swamp with a big backpack and I have like camera hanging and a lot of things is happening and there are clouds. Sometimes I'm walking in the shadow, sometimes I'm walking in the light. So for these situations, I do not care about that 180-degree shutter angle, because getting a good exposure there, or just an exposure where it's not completely burned out or completely dark, is more important for me than having that perfect shutter angle with that perfect motion blur. So I would love if that could be updated in a firmware. So another thing is one I have talked about, and that is the product presentation mode on this camera, which is awesome, especially because it's also customizable. I would love to be able to assign a button for that. You know, so just pressing one button, preferably the record button in my case, and then it switches to product presentation. When I press again, it turns it off. That would be amazing, but I already talked about that. It would also be really nice if the ISO could be assigned to one of these wheels rather than a button, because most of the time I use the ISO a little more than I use, let's say, the shutter speed. and just giving me the option to have maybe aperture on the back, ISO on the front would be really, really nice. Not so much because I would like easy access to it, because I can have it on a button and it doesn't matter a whole lot to me. But what it could do for me, it could release one of these buttons so it's not occupied with the ISO function. Right now, if you're curious, I have number 3 custom button to ISO, number 2 to selecting autofocus, like should it be, on the front wheel, should it be AFS, AFC or AFF. On the back I have the patterns, like should it be single point or auto or one of the custom. So number 2 is definitely staying there. Custom button 1 I have for the autofocus. So like this I'm pretty happy about. If I could have the ISO here, I would probably use that for something else. Then on the back, this one, the play button, I have for the display so that I can have different displays. So sometimes I want the level and all the information, and other times, especially when it's dark, I would prefer it's just being pure so I don't get distracted. And then on the front, I have the playback button. So that is my buttons, and it would be nice to have that one to another. And also, I know this is probably just wish thinking and not possible, but I'm not going to use this camera as a photo camera. And imagine if that photo to video button could switch between AFS or it could be AFF. And then if you want to use the camera for photo, you could either assign another button or you could go into the menu. I'm not going to use this as a photo camera. Yes, maybe on a holiday or if I'm out there and Z9 breaks down, but I'm going to use it as a film camera. And that little switch there would be awesome if I could just toggle that on and off. And that brings me to my next point in the software slash firmware. And that is, I wish there was an option to press a button and then it would like switch and hold the autofocus, method. Very often I'm switching between single point autofocus in AFS mode when I need to focus on something and then I don't want the autofocus to faff around, or I'm going to face detection auto area. These two things I use all the time. Now to the image quality. This has been a hard one for me. Because I use H.265 4K 30 frames per second for almost everything I do. And the reason for that is basically because I need to shoot in a codec that is so sufficient that I can shoot for 10 hours on a 2 or 3 day trip. Also a codec where I can have the camera running. If I expect something to happen, I can press record and let the camera record for like an hour. It could be in the photo blind, it can be when I'm waiting for the bird, because I think it's quite important to capture that moment where things happen rather than always telling about it afterwards. And the H.265 4K is brilliant for that because I have so many hours on a 2 terabyte card, and when I archive my YouTube videos, it does not fill up a whole lot, and it's brilliant. The only thing about this camera is I find the H.265 to be, you can say, soft, slightly unsharp, mushy, but maybe it's just my eyes. I think because of that sensor is so fast, the readout speed is so fast, but what you pay for that fast readout speed is a little more noise in the shadows and a little more noise in general. That to avoid this noise in the H.265 file and in some of the other file types on this camera, a quite heavy noise reduction has been applied and you're not able to adjust it yourself. So what I find with this camera is I get H.265 that looks really well when I'm up close. It looks really well when I'm filming like in the camp with a fire and stuff like that, because there are plenty of details that are close to the camera. But if you imagine, it's just the same as me holding up a newspaper in front of you now, in front of your eyes, if that was your eyes, and I take it to here, then you'll not be able to read anymore, because you know the relative size of things are getting smaller, and it then takes higher resolution, a sharper image, better lens to actually see the little letters or the straws in the grass or the leaves on the bush. And when you then have this noise that you try to compress with a noise reduction, things are getting a little muddy. In just a second, I want to switch to the Nikon ZR, put it to H.265 4K and H.265 6K, and then I want to switch to the Red RAW, because I am in love with that, the Red RAW, but I'm not going to use it because it's too big. It's way too big. It will like cost me a fortune in hard drives with all the videos I make. But just to finish off the H.265 talk, it is definitely usable. My last YouTube video, if you haven't seen it, you can just go and check out some of the scenes. That is shot almost entirely, except from some action shots on the GoPro and some animals with a Z9. All the rest is shot with the Nikon ZR and in H.265 4K 30 frames per second, and I put it on a 4K timeline, and then it's graded, and I added a tiny bit of sharpening. It's fine. It looks great, and I'm happy with this result. I'm very happy with this result, and I will be happy to use the H.265 4K on this Nikon ZR for future videos, but I have considered switching to the 6K of the H.265 just because, based on some tests I've made, it's just slightly more details, especially when I'm like 5 meters from the camera with a 35mm. Then I start to see my face becomes much less digitalized with, or a little less digitalized with the 6K compared to the 4K. But when I then switch to the Red RAW, oh my goodness. But while I'm having the rest of the speak about the image quality, let me try to switch the camera to the ZR. So this is now the Nikon ZR with a 35 1.4 lens. Exact same settings as on the Z6 III. I'm at 1.8, a 60 of a second, ISO 800, like the lower base ISO. And it is amazing to sit here on around 2 meter distance and be able to see these numbers. Perfect. So I'm at 4K, 30 frames per second, H.265, 10-bit. Now you can see it should be fine because I'm only like 2 meters from the camera. But if I move far down there, you'll start to see the details will change from this to the 6K to the red. Maybe I'm not perfectly lit, but that's also a situation. See, now I'm here. Yeah, I can still see I'm in the frame, and if I stand still, you can try to check the details. It should focus on me, and then you can do the comparison when you're watching the video. Yeah, there we go. So now I want to change to the same codec H.265 10-bit, but just take it to 6K and then put that 6K on the 4K timeline that I'm using for this video, and then you can see if you can see any difference there. And then at the end we are switching to the red. This is now the 6K. Still H.265 10-bit. It's just because here I can see that it has my face. It's not to do gymnastic. And now let's switch to the red. This is now the 6K red RAW. it feels a whole lot. But let me just tell you the little story about why I have not been concerned about that. I already told you that it's too big, it fills up too much, it's just too massive file size for the type of video I do. I do video for YouTube. I do this kind of stuff that you're watching when you're watching videos on my channel. And it's just, I feel it's overkill. But the problem about seeing it, like 3 days ago, I tried to use it for the first time just to see how it was. And I got it in the editing software and I looked at it and I thought, oh my goodness, that is crazy details, so much sharper than the H.265. And oh, let me go down there. So yeah, that was it. But what I will do is I'll try to make each portion where I have the 3 different options, the H.265 at 4K, at 6K, and then the red, and then I'll make half the portion straight from the camera, just converted to Rec. 709, and then from the log to Rec. 709, and the red from the RAW to Rec. 709, without doing any color corrections at all. And then I'll but I will do the exposure if there should be a shift, so it's easier to compare. I just try to do it so that you can see the details and the sharpness, because that was what I was talking about with the H.265. So this is now the Nikon ZR with a 35 1.4 lens, exact same settings as on the Z6 III. I'm at 1.8, a 60 of a second, ISO 800. This is now the 6K. Still H.265 10-bit. This is now the 6K red RAW. It feels a whole lot. This is now the 6K red RAW. It feels a whole lot. This is now the 6K. Still H.265 10-bit. H.265 6K 30 frames per second in log. So to finish the H.265 talk, the thing I wish a little back to the software, things that could get improved, is the fact that by looking at the red RAW footage, that is a clear sign of what that Nikon ZR is capable of, and that is truly amazing. It's so sharp, and yes, the red footage does have more noise, or you can call them grain, and it's suddenly much more attractive. No noise. It does have a little more noise, but a lot more noise, but it looks nice. It looks kind of organic. It almost looks like grain. And I would rather have a file that is a little bit more noisy, as long as it's not like purple noise or like the color shifts or like magenta blinking. As long as the colors are great, having some noise that looks a little analog doesn't matter. Not to me at least, because then I have the option to use noise reduction. With the H.265 on this one, on the other hand, it is so heavily noise reduced that you lose sharpness, and trying to then add the sharpness afterwards just makes it look not nice. So what I'm trying to say here is I would love the option to change that noise reduction in camera when you're shooting H.265. Then the default could be as it is now, but then you could turn it to low and off and high or standard, whatever. That would be amazing. Though, but after all, it might sound like the H.265 is really, really crappy, but it's not. Like, as I said, my last video is made with that, but you know, now I have smelt the good stuff, and of course I want that in a more efficient file size, but I think you get my point. Let's move on to low light performance. So, Nikon ZR is like the ZX III. It's not class leading in low light performance. It's not bad, but it's not great. Like, if you have things like the FX3, A7S3, ZV-1, all using that 12 megapixel sensor, these cameras are great in low light. Then you have other cameras that are basically just collapsing in the low light. And then this one, I would say, is right in the middle, but maybe in the good end. I still haven't tested the Red Raw in low light, but at least the H.265, it's fine. A lot of noise reduction though in camera. But if you see my video from earlier in this video, or the video I did from my 3-day trip, I'll link in the description to that video. The low light shots I made with this one and the 35 1.4, it was almost pitch black, and I think they look amazing. So again, you can compare this camera to that camera, that camera. There'll always be a camera that's better for something. That's not what it's about. It's about finding a camera that has most of the things that I need, and I'll get back to that. So, low light performance, what means something to me is it usable for me? Am I happy with the results I get? And that is a big yes. This one can serve me very well in low light situations. I have now found the limit for the autofocus. I know when to switch it to manual. I know when it's getting too grainy, when I underexpose too much. You know, like I do with all my other cameras, it's a tool. I have to get to know it, know its strengths and weaknesses, and then work around that rather than against it. I love the screen. Like, who will not love this screen? It's amazing. I love the built-in microphones. The audio is so great. I have used it in my entire other video, and I'm so happy with the result. I love that it's 32-bit flow internal in the camera without having to add some kind of big bulky thing. And my conclusion with the microphones is, when I do run and gun, or I do walk and talk and there's noise around, ambient noise, these microphones are perfect. When I have the quiet scenes, like in the forest, subtle sounds, I want to use an external microphones. And again, I want to try the one from Nikon, but this gives me the option to avoid the sound of the autofocus moving and the self noise of these microphones, and then I can get super clean audio and still benefit from the 32-bit float. I love this feature. So, audio, screen, the autofocus in low light, I think it is great. Some of the best I've tried. Of course, when it gets too low and there's something else contrast and it cannot really see its face, it will not focus. But again, I've found its limitations, and yeah, this is great. It's fanless. There's no noise. There's not something kicking in. It does not overheat. That's a big plus. The reason why I don't like a fan is because I take this to the Arctic, I take it to the beach where there's a lot of sand going, there's a lot of snow, the rain. I just like a camera that is as weather sealed as possible. I also like that I can adjust the record light, or I can turn it on completely. I love the little beep. I've mentioned it before. These things are amazing. It's super light, it's super flexible. I'll come back to that later, but now let's jump to the conclusion. But before we get to the conclusion, I just want to be very clear with you. I am a Nikon ambassador, and what does that mean to you when watching this video? It means that I've had access to this camera almost 3 weeks before launch, and I've been able to make this video that can hopefully help you to make a decision if you want to purchase the camera or not, or if you're just curious. But what does it not mean? It does not mean that I have to sell you something, and it does not mean that I will ever say anything about a product that I don't mean. It also doesn't mean that I will sit here and hide some things I don't like about the camera or try to make it better than I feel it is, because after all, the most important thing for me is to be honest to everyone I know, my family, my friends, people I don't know on YouTube. And I would never ever make a review, you can call it, or talk about a product or talk about anything if I'm not allowed to say exactly what I have on my mind. I don't want people to dictate what I can say and what I can't say. I want to be completely honest, and I want to tell you what I feel about this camera after using it, and I think that is what I have just done. We're finally there. I can find a camera that has better low light performance than this one. I can also find another camera that has maybe open gate and better dynamic range. And then I can find a camera that has better looking H.265 footage. But there are always some compromise when you're finding or searching for like the perfect camera for what you do. And as I'm making this video, I cannot find a camera that ticks so many boxes for the way I use it as a Nikon ZR. It has decent looking H.265. It has good to great low light autofocus. It had good low light performance when filming. It then have greatest screen I've seen on a camera this size. It has best audio, like built-in microphones on a camera that I have ever tried. It has, as the only camera as far as I know, 32-bit float just in this box without adding things. It even have 32-bit float if I put in one of my existing external microphones. On top of that, it's light, it's compact, it's weather sealed. It has a good vibration reduction built into the house. That is very useful when it's on the tripod and things are like this. And then it has all these other things that I've mentioned that I love about the camera. And on top of all that, it has this red raw, damn red raw, that I should never have opened. That was the kind of the door that I should never have opened. But enough about that. My mind is drifting now about that codec. But I see it like this. Regardless what you do in life, there are always choices to make. There are always pros and cons. Like if you're buying a house, if you're buying a car, like you never find that perfect house. Then there's a little noise from the traffic, or then there's the neighbors. When you buy a car, it's like, oh, that guy is so nice, but I just wish this was different. But you can't find anything where everything is perfect. Even maybe, I don't dare to say it, but if you're married, you know, pros and cons. And then at the end of the day, you sum it all up and say to yourself, well, some of these things, some of the things that I'm not so happy about, can I improve on them? Can I work around them? Can I live with them? Yes, I can. I can fix these things. And then there are a few things you just have to learn to live with. And that is how I feel about this camera. Most of the things I've said about this camera is something that can be corrected in firmware if Nikon decides to do it. Other things like the joystick and stuff like that, I mean, it's something I can definitely live with, because the rest, the whole package, not the rest, but the whole thing, that system here is just like built for what I'm doing. And I am on the list now for one, and I just can't wait to receive it. I can't wait to try if they make something for the microphone, some original. I can't wait to try the microphone here. I want to try it with a cage. And then furthermore, I have this feeling of, like when I was filming with my Nikon 5 years ago, I felt that always like, okay, video is definitely not their priority. It's clearly. But now it definitely is. And I also feel that, like, by filming with these Nikon cameras, the new cinema line, this is the first they have made. And I kind of want to jump on that bus, want to get familiar with it, want to know everything about it, want to build up my system, my filming system around this Nikon Red cinema line of cameras. Yeah, I'm really, really happy about it. And I hope this was a balanced review or video for you. I'm sorry it was so long, but it's too late to complain about that now. I hope you at least got something out of it. Maybe I've just been repeating what everyone else said in 15 minutes. I hope not. Anyway, hope you enjoyed being in the forest with me, being on these little trips, and I'll link to that YouTube video I made with the Nikon ZR in the description. So take care and see you out there.